Her name has made headlines nationwide. It's been more than 4 months since the Charlotte native went on a trip with friends to Cabo, Mexico. She didn't return home alive.
Well, tonight the calls for justice continue. Shanquella Robinson's family once again pleading for her suspected to be arrested. Robinson during a trip to Mexico.
Have you ever heard a story so shocking, so twisted that it feels more like the plot of a true crime drama than real life? Well, buckle up, because the details surrounding Shanquella Robinson's case are almost too unbelievable to be true. And yet here we are, over 2 years later, still piecing together a puzzle that gets darker with every new revelation. Let's dive into what's been going on, from the mysterious events in Cabo to the relentless fight for justice by Shanquella's family. Trust us, you're going to want to hear every bit of this, because the twists and turns will leave you absolutely speechless.
Justice for Shanquella Robinson. Justice for Shanquella Robinson.
So, here's the backstory. Shanquella Robinson, a vibrant young woman from Charlotte, North Carolina, set off on what was supposed to be a luxurious getaway to Cabo San Lucas, Mexico, with a group of 6 people she thought were her friends. You know, the kind of trip where you expect to relax, laugh, and make memories that last a lifetime. But for Shanquella, this wasn't the kind of trip anyone could have imagined. One day, after arriving at this stunning villa, her life came to a sudden and tragic end. And no, this wasn't some freak accident or natural cause. What happened in that villa has sparked outrage, suspicion, and a desperate call for accountability. Here's where things get murky, and stay with us, because this is where the story takes a sharp turn. The people she traveled with, now infamously known as the Cabo Six, initially told her family that Shanquella had simply fallen ill. And by ill, they claimed she had overindulged on drinks, leading to what they described as a medical emergency. Sounds plausible, right? After all, it's not uncommon for people to feel unwell while on a vacation getaway. But as the hours passed and the truth began to unravel, this story started to sound less like a reasonable explanation and more like a poorly constructed cover-up.
Mexican authorities have ruled her femicide, or the FBI also investigating her. But here we are, 4 months later, still no arrests in the...
First red flag came when Shanquella's family received her official certificate of passing from Mexican authorities. Brace yourself for this. The document made no mention of overindulgence. Instead, it pointed to something far more alarming: a severe spinal cord injury and dislocation near the neck. Let that sink in for a moment. This wasn't consistent with the story being told by the so-called friends. And as much as the Cabo Six tried to stick to their version of events, the truth was already beginning to slip through the cracks. As if that wasn't already suspicious enough, a video surfaced online not long after the incident, and it completely flipped the narrative. In the footage, Shanquella is seen being physically attacked by one of the individuals she went on this trip with. And get this, she wasn't even defending herself. It was an unprovoked, one-sided assault. And what's even more horrifying is that the others in the room just stood there. They didn't try to stop it. They didn't intervene. They just watched, with one of them even recording the whole thing like it was some sort of spectacle. I mean, who does that? The very people she trusted to have her back completely let her down in her most vulnerable moment.
Early November, this video showing an alleged fight went viral on social media. Now, we don't know if she sustained those injuries described in the autopsy during this fight.
Now, here's where the plot thickens. The autopsy report from Mexican authorities revealed that Shanquella's injuries were so severe that she likely passed away within 15 minutes of sustaining them. This devastating detail paints a picture of her final moments that were likely filled with confusion, pain, and betrayal. And yet, the Cabo Six returned to the United States and carried on as though nothing had happened. They even had the audacity to bring her belongings back to her family and continue pushing their original story.
And now we have the North Carolina woman. Mysteriously, while on vacation in Mexico 2 years ago, the family of Shanquella Robinson is now suing the 6 people she was traveling with.
But Shanquella's family wasn't buying it. You see, her mother, Salamandra Robinson, knew in her heart that something wasn't right. Fueled by love for her daughter and a determination to uncover the truth, she began pushing for answers. And she wasn't alone. The public quickly rallied behind her, with social media exploding in outrage as more details of the case came to light. Hashtags, protests, and demands for justice flooded timelines, keeping the pressure on authorities to take this case seriously. Fast forward to the present, and this case is still making headlines, largely because of the family's unwavering fight for accountability. Recently, the FBI released heavily redacted documents related to their investigation, and while they don't give us the full picture, they do offer some chilling insights. According to these files, someone came forward to the FBI shortly after the incident, claiming that the story about overindulgence didn't add up. This person described seeing images of Shanquella's injuries and believed she looked like she had been physically stomped on. Let that sink in for a moment. Stomped on. If true, this suggests a level of violence that goes far beyond a simple argument or altercation.
They had a video that went viral. The whole world seen the video, and there's been no arrest since October the 29th. What kind of system is this?
And here's another bombshell. There's speculation that the villa where this all took place may have had cameras. Now, if this is true, it raises even more questions. Were the cameras removed? Was there footage that could have captured exactly what happened? And if so, who had access to it? The FBI's files don't confirm whether this evidence exists, but the very possibility is enough to make you wonder what else might be hiding in the shadows of this case.
Well, this is an incomplete file. It does not reflect the FBI's thinking, just what was reported to federal agents.
What's even more frustrating is how slowly things have been moving on the legal front. Despite an arrest warrant being issued by Mexican authorities for one of the individuals involved, no one has been extradited. Let us repeat that, no one. The United States has yet to take any significant action, and this lack of urgency has left Shanquella's family and the public feeling deeply disheartened. It's almost as if the system is working against them, dragging its feet while a grieving mother continues to fight for answers. Adding to the frustration is the sheer lack of clarity on why extradition hasn't occurred. Mexican authorities have made it clear that they completed all the necessary procedures, including issuing an arrest warrant and even involving international agencies like Interpol to assist. So why hasn't the United States taken decisive action? Some speculate that the delay could be due to bureaucratic red tape or a lack of coordination between the two countries. But others believe it may go deeper. Could there be political reasons at play, or is this simply a case of authorities underestimating the public's demand for justice? Whatever the reason, the inaction has left many people feeling like Shanquella's case is slipping through the cracks of an unresponsive system.
Been seeking these FBI files since October 2023, and the FBI just released the first two part of them. We now have a little more insight.
Meanwhile, the Cabo Six have reportedly been trying to move on with their lives, but they are far from escaping public scrutiny. Internet sleuths have been relentless, digging into the backgrounds of these individuals and sharing their findings online. One of the group members, who has allegedly changed her name and relocated, has become the focus of intense speculation. People want to know why she would go to such lengths if she truly had nothing to hide. And let's not forget the others, many of whom have gone silent on social media, seemingly disappearing from the public eye. The silence, however, speaks volumes, leaving people to wonder if they're laying low in fear of the mounting evidence against them.
Robin, Shanquella Robinson's family believes that the federal justice system failed them. 2 years after the North Carolina woman's overseas, there is still no arrest.
But here's where it gets even more interesting. Some reports suggest that this wasn't the first time tensions had surfaced within this friend group. Allegedly, there had been prior disagreements and arguments among them, raising questions about whether this trip was doomed from the start. Could jealousy or unresolved conflict have played a role in what ultimately happened in Cabo? But while we may never know the full dynamics of their relationships, these details paint a picture of a group that was anything but harmonious. It makes you wonder, was Shanquella walking into a trap without even realizing it? But Salamandra Robinson isn't backing down. In fact, she recently filed a civil lawsuit against the Cabo Six, as well as the United States Department of State and the FBI. This bold move sends a clear message. She's not letting this case fade into obscurity. She's demanding accountability from everyone involved, from the individuals who were in that villa to the authorities who have seemingly failed to deliver justice. And honestly, who can blame her? If this were your loved one, wouldn't you do everything in your power to uncover the truth?
Responsible for her have not been held accountable. The lack of justice serves as a painful reminder.
The lawsuit itself is packed with allegations, including negligence, conspiracy, and emotional distress. It pulls no punches, naming names and calling out the failures of both the U.S. and Mexican systems to bring those responsible to justice. And while it's too soon to say how this legal battle will play out, one thing is clear: Salamandra and her family aren't giving up anytime soon. So where does this leave us? With more questions than answers, unfortunately. Why hasn't anyone been held accountable? What really happened in that villa? And will Shanquella's family ever get the closure they so desperately deserve? These are questions that continue to weigh heavily on everyone following this case. And while the wheels of justice may be turning painfully slowly, the hope is that they're still turning. As we wait for the next chapter in this heartbreaking story, one thing is certain: Shanquella Robinson's legacy will not be forgotten. Her family, her community, and even strangers who never met her are all united in the fight to make sure her story is heard. Because at the end of the day, this isn't just about what happened to Shanquella. It's about making sure that this kind of betrayal and injustice doesn't happen to anyone else. Now, here's the question everyone's asking. Do you think the authorities will finally step up and deliver the justice Shanquella deserves? Or is this just another case of a system failing to protect its own? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to stay tuned for more updates on this unfolding story. Until next time, take care and keep seeking the truth.